Welcome to you developers out there. I am AlphaCode and today I'll be teaching you the basics to Unity. Today we're going over interface, which is basically what the program looks like and what each button does around the scene. So first of all, when you open Unity you will get to this. So project name, you can type in whatever you want. I'm just going to type in YouTube, and the location is where you want all these projects to be stored, and then that'll create a separate folder for the name that you called it. So first, then you can go to either 3D or 2D. This is whatever you want your game to be, basically. So if you want a 3D game, 3-dimensional X, Y, and Z, you go 3D or 2D, Y, and X. Or you can add one of the default packages from Unity or ones you've downloaded off the asset store, which we'll get into later. So for now, we're just going to press create project. Okay, now our project is open. So for you, it should look like that. I edited mine for the thing that I was doing earlier. But from default, it should look like this. You will have the hierarchy, the scene, the game, the asset store, the inspector over here, and the projects and console over here. I can delete these. This is just a couple of problems that I don't know how to fix, but they're not too big of a worry. So here we see Untitled. This is the scene that we are in right now. And as you can see, all we have is a main camera. Now, right now I'm in 2D mode, which is not what we want to be in for the thing that we'll be doing today. So uncheck this. And now we're in 3D. As you can see, we now have Y, Z, and X. So this main camera is what you'll see from the game perspective. The scene is where we make our game, or like it's called, the scene that will be in the game. And now let's go over these things over here. So this is the hierarchy. This is where all of your objects will be. You will have your different scenes here. And as you can see up here, you can create 3D objects, 2D objects, light, audio, UI, particles, and camera. So, yeah. Right. Project. This is where all of your assets will be that you choose to import, or what Unity standard assets you want to import in. Next, on the console, if you have a scripting error, then it will show up here. This will sometimes mean that your game won't run, depending on how serious this issue is and if it's game breaking or it's just a simple little error that doesn't affect the game at all. Okay, down the side we have favorites, so you can favorite different things from the assets. Down here you can right click to create a folder. All these are different programming languages, a shader, a scene, which is what we're in right now, this thing, a prefab, which is something you can import at any time from an existing game object, an audio mixer, which is an audio mixer, material, lens flare, a sort of like what's caused by sun casts. We have render texture, light map parameters, basically self-explanatory, sprites. This is for 2D mostly. Sprites are like 2D sort of like game objects. Animation things here, material here for physics, GUI skin, custom font, and a cube map. So, now let's get on to saving our scene. So this is our scene right here. As you can see, we can create, let's say, a cube. Now this will now appear in the hierarchy. And if we go over to it, we can see the cube right here in the scene. So this is what you see as an editor, as a developer. When the game is released or when you want to test it, you can go over to game, which should be up here, and here's that cube. As you can see, it currently has no sort of dimension to it because it's looking at it straight on. But if we move this to the right a bit and rotate it, then we'll see the dimension that it has. You'll see it's a bit longer, but obviously we have no light, so it won't show any like shading. So yeah, now on to saving our scene. This is like basically like saving the part of the game that you're working on. So you just want to press Control and S, and it takes you into your YouTube, well, whatever you stored it in, whatever you named your project, and you can just name this, let's say, test. Now this could be different levels of your game if you get that far onto developing. It can just be a developer test scene where when you're updating game, you can test things that you've made and want to add them into your other scenes. And yeah, that's basically what they're used for. Now up here, we have all the different things you can do to an object. So we have this thing, which will make you move around and look around. You can do these without this, which I'll show you in a minute. You have this, which moves the objects by the X, Y, and Z coordinate, as you can see. We can rotate these by the X, Y, and Z coordinate. We can scale these, and we can also change like the shape of what it's based on. This can also be used in sprites as well, and UI. So, now to navigate around your scene. Holding right click in the scene will allow you to look around in a 360-degree view, up and down anyway. Holding your middle mouse button inwards, you can move around. Basically the same as using this up here. You'll see it change when I do it, like that. And you can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out like normal. Now, onto these things here. This is how it'll be seen in the scene. As you can see, not in game. You can have it wireframe shaded, so you can see like the sort of polygons it's made out of, should I say. And then we have all these here, which can be used for many different things, which we'll get into later episodes of Unity. We have 2D, which shows everything 2D. We have like light, so this will be using the like light that's in it, and when toggled off, a light will be attached to it, even though there isn't a light, if you know what I sort of mean. This toggles audio on or off. We have no audio in game right now. And this toggles your skybox and everything that's from the game. If we come out 2D, so say we had a skybox. So now we can go to the inspector. This is where you see all of the parts to your game object. So transform. This is position, rotation, and scale. So if I move it, if you look at transform, you'll see it will move. You can set these variables wherever you want. And yeah. So here is your like skybox. So this is what is seen in the sky where you don't want objects to be. So right now it's just like a colour. But if I set this to solid colour and change it to another colour, this will sort of be like the sky. Also, you can use an actual skybox. So Unity come with them. And yeah, and then we have the actual camera, which is what turns this random object into an actual camera. So it's basically like a script. And yeah, so GUI layer, this is all pretty simple. You don't really need to know up to now. This is sort of further on. Just like gives it what it needs to be, I guess you could say. And that is pretty much the interface for you. Gizmos as well, you can also do all these things. You can just disable and enable things, but we'll get into that other times. So that's basically this episode. I hope you guys do enjoy, and always remember, keep on developing.